All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We had a few items to take care of in closed session. It's good to be with you here tonight. I'm going to call to order the Monday, May 11th, 2026 Royal Oak City Commission meeting to order. We're going to begin with the invocation given by Commissioner Cheatham, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask that you stand if you can, please. So mood music is always appropriate with, okay, we got it killed. All right, there we go.
Was really enjoying the cool jazz. Okay. In October of 1986, President Ronald Reagan stated in a radio address, "Voting is a precious right that for 2 centuries Americans have fought and died to protect. Let's all honor that sacrifice this election day. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, circle November 8th, 1986 on your calendar and then show that you care about America's future and get out and vote." The 200 years President Reagan referenced included colonists dumping tea into a harbor to protest taxation without representation, and included women suffragists protesting, being incarcerated, and going on hunger strikes in jail, all in the fight for women's rights to vote. It included the civil rights marches and protests and other efforts to eliminate Jim Crow barriers that stood in the way of African Americans having the right to vote. Why is the vote so important? Well, President Lyndon Johnson explained, "The vote is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice and destroying the terrible walls which imprison men because they are different from other men." I wonder if the fact that making sure everyone has the right to vote leads to the breaking down of injustice, is exactly why some are working fiercely to limit some groups' right to vote, sometimes done under the debunked auspices of election security, but actually designed to limit the political power of some groups. I'm thankful that here in Michigan, the voters spoke in a previous ballot initiative to end gerrymandering by requiring that district boundaries are established by a board with a mix of Democrats and Republicans. Further, Michigan has opened up the opportunity for voting by mail and having several days of in-person early voting leading up to Election Day. These are all steps that expand access to the ballot box. Clearly, access to voting is valued by Michiganders. I'm further grateful to have Royal Oak's Clerk's Office competently and ethically led. But that doesn't stop the forceful efforts to reduce voting rights and to reduce the impact of the vote of people of color through gerrymandering. Here I'm referring to the recent Supreme Court decision, Louisiana v. Calais, and the proposed SAVE Act, which would make it more complicated for many women to vote. As Ida B. Wells stated, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Let us illuminate the true impact of the Supreme Court decision and this proposed law and all other efforts designed to limit rights to vote or to otherwise manipulate whose vote really counts. And please circle August 4th and November 3rd on your calendars. These are our next election days. Please be sure to exercise your right to vote here in Michigan and show that you care about our future." Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that brings us to item 4 tonight, the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any modifications to tonight's agenda? Commissioner Cheatham.
I'd like to add a motion, should I ever say it out now?
You say, yeah, you can approve the agenda with an additional.
Okay, thank you,
agenda.
sorry. I'd like to move approval of the agenda with one additional item. To direct city staff to engage outside counsel to assist with preparation and submission of AFFF product liability litigation as we discussed and closed.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hunt. Discussion on the motion. All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed? Motion passes. We have an agenda. All right. That brings us to public comment. Just a few ground rules before we commence public comment. The City Commission does value and does rely upon the input of our fellow citizens to help make decisions. Now is the time set aside for the public to address the City Commission on any city-related issue, whether or not it's on the agenda. I do ask that comments be directed to the City Commission as a whole and not to individual commissioners. We have made it easier for you to request follow-up on any issue or leave public comment by simply scanning the QR code you see displayed. We have one right there in front of the chief. If you're wondering who the chief is, he's a handsome guy over there wearing the uniform, hard to miss. Please make sure you double check your information for accuracy, so we'll be able to utilize it and actually get you the responses you're looking for. If you wish to speak tonight at public comment, please wait until recognized by me, the mayor, and then step forward to the podium. For the record, you'll state your name and address, and please be mindful that the City Commission wishes to hear from anyone who wants to speak tonight, so comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, not per topic. And we do have a timer at the podium to help keep track of your time. Please note, we typically don't respond directly to questions during public comment. However, we write those questions down, and when the topic comes up for our discussion up here at the table, we'll ask those questions on your behalf. If your questions have nothing to do with anything on tonight's agenda, which is perfectly fine, we are writing those questions down. Our interim city manager is writing those questions down, and if you leave your contact information, either scan the QR or you can see Ms. Judy Davids back there. She's amazing. She will definitely get your information, talk you through how to get the answer, and we'll follow up outstandingly like she always does. So with that, who's first? Yes, sir. Tom?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Togweiler, 1018 Longfellow in Royal Oak. I'm here representing the Royal Oak Historical Society. I want to announce to the commission, everybody in the meeting this evening, and everybody in the city and elsewhere, to invite everybody to our annual pancake breakfast on Monday, May 25th, Memorial Day, coinciding with Royal Oak's Memorial Day Parade. We'll be serving the best pancakes in town from 7 to 11:30 a.m. and hope to see everybody there. Second of all, I want to announce to everyone, the public, a lot of people here may know about it, but our group is proud to be the sponsor and the organization running the Judge Jamie Wittenberg ceremony in the memorial wall to be unveiled on Wednesday, May 27th. The ceremony will start here in this room at 5 p.m. and the unveiling will be across the parking lot at the courthouse at 6 p.m. We are doing this along with the cooperation of the Honorable Judges Derek Meineke and Andrew Kolkoski, and with the support of Royal Oak Police and other law enforcement. This is going to be a pretty big event here. Everybody knows the impact that Judge Wittenberg had on our court system here. In conjunction with this, there will be a kickoff of our fundraising campaign to have a scholarship fund set up in Judge Leonhout's and Judge Wittenberg's name to be given to 2 high school people every year that show a propensity and a devotion to community service. So there will be cookies and beverages. Hope to see everybody there, and appreciate my time here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Great job. Thank you for all you do. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I've reached out to all of you on occasion. I'm referencing the ice cream shop on Cherry Street. So my name is Joseph Duncan. I'm a resident on Cherry. I'm here today to respectfully request the city revisit the recent approval of that proposed ice cream shop, which is SP 26-0405. I want to be clear, this is not about opposing the development. I love ice cream. My children are here, they love ice cream. I think everyone loves ice cream. What I'm talking about is the appropriate development of that site that fits the character of the neighborhood. That's a residential street. So where that street butts up, there's Crooks, there's a print shop, there's that building, and then you've got a block of 18 to 20 homes on that street. Under the city's zoning ordinance, site plans must meet the standards outlined in section 770-12, including the proposed use will not be injurious to the surrounding neighborhood, and that safe and appropriate access, traffic flow, and parking are provided. If you've seen the space, if you visited the street, you'll understand what I'm referencing. That parking lot is not going to support the potential traffic that could hit it, which in turn will flood Cherry Street with cars, thus increasing traffic, making it one-ways down the street. There's children in the neighborhood, so there's a real public safety concern that I'm trying to get ahead of. First, while the plan meets the minimum parking requirement, it provides no additional capacity. So for a high turnover destination type business such as an ice cream shop, this creates strong likelihood of overflow onto Cherry Ave, a residential road. Minimum compliance does not necessarily meet adequates in practice. Second, there's no traffic circulation analyst provided. So my question is, why wasn't there a study done to see what the impacts of that residential street will be with this business? There's a lot of ice cream shops in and around the area. We can see that ice cream brings people. Why wasn't there something done to ensure that there was going to be adequate parking, and what the contingency plans would be if and when that was met to the residents in the neighborhood? All of this was done without the residents being involved. It's a neighborhood business, or it's advertised as a neighborhood business, but yet the neighborhood it directly will infect and it sits in was not aware of any of this until after the city planners had approved it. The site is directly adjacent to single-family homes with limited bufferings. So during that planning meeting, there's requirements that that business should have the proper buffering to the next home that's next to it, which I believe there was a pardon given in that meeting, and they don't have to meet that requirement. So all that I ask is the city revisit, take a look at this, look at it from a different perspective to the actual people that live on the street. And I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you. Bill Harrison, Woodward Side Sub, Royal Oak. Regarding item 9, temporary moratorium suspending restrictions on tattoo and massage parlors downtown. The restrictions on adult business downtown are the result of issues that we had with 2 massage parlors previously located on Woodward Avenue. They were a source of prostitution and human trafficking. The 1,000-foot business separation distance is intended to limit the concentration of adult businesses. The concentration of adult business is where public corruption thrives. The 1,000-foot distance of the business from schools and churches, and the 150-foot from residents, they're intended to protect children. The process that you are using to implement the moratorium is suspect. The process should include public hearings followed by 2 readings at the commission and input from the DDA. Characteristically, the DDA is consulted only when you want something from them. We continue to do damage, or you continue to do damage to the downtown business community. First, you implemented the MPS parking system because it generated the greater revenue. However, the greater revenue was generated by fines that drove the customers away. What will be next? Marijuana shops? You've already allowed marijuana at Arts Beats and Eats. Perhaps strip clubs? Will 4th Street become a corridor for adult shops and entertainment? The manner in which this ordinance, quote, workaround, is being implemented makes me question if this is another case of where you are again yielding to a major political campaign fund bundler. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Leandra Osborne. Address is 1525 West Farnham Avenue here in Royal Oak. I'm here tonight with my business partner, Maya Zigla. I am a licensed massage therapist in the state of Michigan, a small business owner, and a Royal Oak resident. We are here tonight to provide a statement regarding agenda item number 9, regarding the city's consideration to modernize the current zoning ordinance. Maya and I would love to bring our business into the city, but current zoning regulations are preventing that from happening. Massage therapy today is a highly regulated and healthcare-oriented profession. In the state of Michigan, licensure is mandatory. We complete accredited educational programs, pass licensing requirements, maintain continuing education, and are regulated by the state. We are held to professional, ethical, and medical standards. I am also one of 7 accredited massage therapists in Metro Detroit who is able to work with the VA Community Care Network. I provide care for combat veterans through the federal healthcare system. This allows sanctioned reimbursement by the United States government itself on behalf of the VA. My work focuses heavily on orthopedic and therapeutic treatment, resulting in reduced pain, increased mobility, and improved quality of life. Caring for both veterans and all of our clients through massage therapy is a particular part of the profession Maya and I find important and derive a great deal of pride from. Massage therapy is not an underground or unregulated industry. It's healthcare. We're not a parlor. We are no way associated with adult-oriented commercial services, which is what Royal Oak's current zoning ordinance classifies us as. We work alongside physicians, physical therapists, occupational therapists, chiropractors, mental health professionals daily. As a resident of Royal Oak, I want to invest in my own community. We have already found 2 spaces that would allow us to open a professional practice here, and the only barrier stopping us is the current zoning ordinance. We respectfully ask the Commission to consider whether the current classification truly reflects the modern standards of this profession, or whether it unintentionally prevents legitimate, licensed healthcare providers and small business owners such as ourselves from contributing to the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Mr. Cowan.
Dennis Cowan, 2716 Trafford, a neighbor of Bill Harrison. Before I comment on item 9, I do want to say I had the privilege of knowing both Judge Leanhoutz and Judge Wittenberg, and I applaud what the Historical Society and the court is doing. Anything we can do to honor the memory of these 2 great men is worthy of our efforts, our treasure, and our contributions. So I applaud that event that will be happening, and we'll contribute to it. I'm here because very rarely do you have the opportunity to listen to someone who helped pass a law here in this town. Most of my colleagues are dead or have moved, but I'm still standing. So I wanted to come and comment on the moratorium that you are going to consider tonight. In 1993, when I believe that was passed, we had faced a very tragic situation in town. Japanese sauna, which was involved in human trafficking of women and prostitution, had developed on Woodward, and another nearby place had also developed into the same sordid situation. And the commission felt at that time that it was appropriate to look at not only law enforcement to combat this, but also at zoning. When we discussed that, a very critical point was that there was no state oversight or regulation of either one of these industries. And quite frankly, you don't oversight illegal industries, you combat them. But since that time, both body art or tattooing and massage therapy have undergone significant changes socially and politically. And also the state has issued regulations. There are over 30 pages on body art, which covers a whole host of, from health concerns and having safety features there at the location. There's 15 pages of regulation with respect to the other, I lost my train of thought, with that tattoo, with
Massage?
yeah, So I think, we've got 45 pages of state regulation. We've got a lot of oversight. We've got a lot of concern about human trafficking that wasn't even around 33 years ago. So I'm very confident that if you pass this moratorium, it will give you the opportunity for a comprehensive review of this ordinance. There's some other things, I think pawn shops are in there and a couple other items. Some of those may deserve to still have zoning oversight, but having represented some of these businesses, and I want to give full disclosure, they are very legitimate. They are people who want to invest in the community and they want to provide a service. And let's face it, I think the ordinance, from my view, is kind of past its time in some respects. So I would ask you that you take into account some of that legislative history, so to speak, regarding the moratorium, or regarding the ordinance, and then allow your opportunity for a moratorium and to move forward and to move the community forward. And I have to say, it's hard following the young lady and her partner who have just spoken, because I think they have spoken very eloquently. I hope you take their comments into consideration also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Cowan.
I did it in under 3 minutes.
So it's possible. Yes, sir.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Shane Zimmer. I live on Cherry Avenue as well. I guess, I don't know why I feel the need to say this, but I'm pretty with the tattoo parlors and the massage therapy places. My mom is a doctor, worked in PT for 25 years, can do a lot of great for a lot of human beings. What I'm actually here for is the ice cream shop. I live on the street. I learned about it from the newspaper. Like Joe had kind of brought up earlier, we have a lot of elderly folks on our street. I think there's 1 or 2 homes that I've seen ambulances on regularly on our street. With the parking, we are going to get overflow. If we have cars on both sides of Cherry Avenue, it will be a one-way street, especially with kids and things running around, playing, enjoying themselves. I can't imagine an ambulance safely being able to get to the homes of the elderly folk who live on my street. So that's a pretty big concern for me. Yeah, I just want to see my community safe and sound. Everyone loves ice cream. Might be a better use for that location. At the moment, it's not seeming like the best use for it. So yeah, I would kindly ask that you guys reconsider the zoning and the practices, or some of the things that Joe brought up earlier. I believe there's a meeting on it tomorrow that I plan on coming in and speaking again. So yeah, just wanted to say my 2 cents. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer. Mr. Karlowski.
Rick Karlowski, Virginia Avenue, Royal Oak. I'm also here on number 9. First off, it's nice to see this is not on a consent agenda. At least you guys are going to discuss this. Secondly, I don't see a need to have a moratorium on this particular statute. If you want to change it, there is a process to change it. And in fact, if you recall, there's a tattoo parlor on Main Street, I think it's 8 Ball or whatever, that went through the process of the ZBA and got approved. The fact that Mr. Cowan can't get it through the ZBA does not mean we need to have a moratorium on every zoning requirement that he can't follow, okay? Now, if you want to change it, let's do it right. Let's have discussions on it. Let's make sure that nothing sneaks in while we have this moratorium that we really don't want, because it was a shotgun blast to take care of something that, well, it may be antiquated, but again, there's a process to take care of this. Putting a moratorium on all of it is not the way to go. I hope you will not approve this, have it go through the ZBA as it currently has. All these places can go through the ZBA. It can be discussed then, and you can override it as you need to. Again, we already had this on a tattoo shop on Main Street. So we don't need a moratorium. Let's go through the right process. Let's have discussions on it, and let's make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karlowski. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Bridget Allerton of 508 Walnut Avenue, and I'm also here to speak on the ice cream shop on Cherry Street. We moved here 5 years ago, and I love Royal Oak because of what a vibrant city it is, all the shops and all the restaurants, and it's a great place for business. It's also a wonderful place for families. Northwood Elementary is right across the street there on Crooks, and there are some businesses alongside that road with Crooks as well. But I think the place where there can be some friction is when the businesses and the residential communities are right next to each other, as is the case on Crooks. And so the current business that is there, we've been there 5 years. I've never seen someone go in and out. But I think they're more of like, just an office building, something of that nature. But when there's a big change like that, when an ice cream shop comes, you can imagine like lots of people, lots of foot traffic. It just seems like a pretty dramatic change for a residential neighborhood. So as you think about expanding businesses or, making new places available, I would just ask that you do consider the residents on the street because of the safety concerns, the parking concerns and whatnot, and would just really appreciate the support in revisiting that for the local community. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wagman.
Janice Wagman. Like last time, I want to start my comments on a positive note by briefly acknowledging the city manager appointment on tonight's agenda. After reviewing Mr. Marcus's background, impressive resume, and various news reports, I believe he brings strong leadership credentials at an important time for this city. I also appreciate the positive comments I've seen from residents familiar with his prior work in public service. So welcome to our city. I really wish the new city manager success and look forward to seeing the city move into a positive direction under his leadership. Moving on, regarding number 9, the moratorium related to these businesses or similar businesses, this issue is not really about whether perceptions of these businesses have changed over the years. The question tonight is about transparency. In the documents provided to this commission, the city states the current process creates expense, uncertainty, delay, inconsistent treatment, and unnecessary procedural barriers. In other words, this proposal is intended to make the process easier, faster, and more predictable for applicants and for the city by bypassing public approvals. That means the public will no longer have an opportunity to speak publicly before a board or commission to ask questions, raise concerns, and even express support. And once procedural safeguards are removed, residents naturally begin to wonder what other public review processes could someday be bypassed as well via another moratorium instead of a public hearing process to actually change the zoning ordinance. One question I believe the public deserves an answer to tonight is, why now? Do we currently have a large backlog of tattoo, massage, or similar businesses waiting to enter Royal Oak? Do we have 4 or 5 or 10 or more waiting to avoid existing requirements? If there truly is a widespread problem creating repeated hardship and administrative inefficiency, then the public should be told how extensive that problem actually is. Or is this proposal primarily being advanced because of the recently denied business at 117 West 4th Street, Cleopatra Inc.? Because from the outside, this appears less like a broad zoning emergency and more like a procedural change that could allow one recently denied applicant to move forward now. Let me stress, whether someone supports or opposes these businesses is not the point. The point is that the public will lose its turn at this podium under the existing rules while the city uses a process to bypass the normal process for ordinance changes. I urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagman. All right, anybody else here tonight? Mr. Ashley.
Alan Ashley, Royal Oak Manor. 2 quickies. I'm sure all of you went to college, degrees. the invocation. I've been coming here since 2017. Invocation, Webster's Dictionary, is a prayer for during a religious service, or like we had a prayer when we were in combat when I was overseas to help us get through. It is not a political statement. So please change the invocation to Commissioner so-and-so will give their political statement. Please change it. It is not a prayer. And no reason to ask for amen at the end when you're making a political statement. So let's just stop using invocation. Second, on number 9, here's my suggestion. Leave what we have now, make changes to it, present it to the public in hearings, a first and second reading, and then let the public decide. As again, we have one tattoo place on Main Street. I haven't seen anybody in it, but I don't know when they come, but I usually walk the city pretty much in the summertime all over the place, as most of you know. But right now, why don't you just leave it as it is? There's no sense of a temporary moratorium. That means that somebody can sneak in and do whatever they want. This reminds me of the backroom deals in the 40s and 50s when it was cigars and liquor in the back room deciding what politics would be done. This also reminds me of the backroom deals during the construction of Centennial Park, this building, and whatsoever back in those days. I could mention a few, but I'm not going to mention it. But this seems like a skate around, as it has been mentioned, and it's time that you actually do the right thing. Leave it as is, change the rules, bring it to the public, and let them decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. All right, who's next? We'll go with the young gentleman here first, and then you after, sir.
Hello, Commission and Mayor. I just wanted to say I really like the invocation. I thought it was the kind of thing and values our city should be promoting. And I also really was happy to hear that Judge Wittenberg is being memorialized. I just had a really quick question, more something that will be followed up later, but what is the current electric vehicle infrastructure present in the city that could be publicly used? Because my dad will be getting one soon, and I don't know if he wants to buy a charger or not. So that was the main question. Thank you guys so much for your time. So should I follow up with the lady over there?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Can we just get your name real quick?
George Plymel. I live at 627 Royal Avenue.
And we'd love to get you that answer on any of these. It's something we're
Thank you so
passionate
much.
about. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yep.
Good evening. I'm Michael Pitt. I live at 726 East Parent. I'm also the owner of 117 West 4th Street, the building that was mentioned earlier. And I really enjoyed Amanda's comments today. And what I liked about our current way of electing people is we have mail-in ballots. We can mail in our ballots, and it's very efficient, and it's proven to be really well received by the public. When the ordinance in question under item number 9 was enacted in 1993, we didn't have mail-in ballots. We didn't have a lot of things. Things have really changed. The times have changed. They've changed dramatically. I set up my law practice in this great city in 1992. I watched the City Commission enact that ordinance. And I remember the issues that generated the need. But we don't live in 1992 anymore, or 1993. Everything has a time and a season, and it may have been right and appropriate in 1993, but is it right and appropriate now? Because we have a vibrant downtown district with a myriad of public, of personal services that are available to our residents and to our visitors. And our regulations should comply with the modern times. And as you know, as Mr. Cowan pointed out, 1993, these activities were not regulated by the state of Michigan. They are now. And our expectations in this city have changed. And I think the moratorium is appropriate because it reflects our current thinking and the way we operate today. And there's no reason for us to go back to 1993 when it was a different time. And I'm very, very grateful for the consideration that you give to this moratorium request. I think it's a real important step to modernize the way we operate in this city. I've lived here and I've worked here for decades now. I appreciate your concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pitt. Mr. Razor?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Razor, 502 West Lincoln. Good evening. First of all, what a tragedy with Judge Wittenberg, and I'm so glad to hear that we are honoring him, and I will be donating as well. Second of all, thank you to Mr. Grochowski for the role that he has played and the resource he has been to the city. And welcome to the potential new city manager if you do so vote on that in the positive later today. But I just wanted to make sure that I put on the record that I think Nick has done an amazing job being the interim manager, so thank you for that. I likewise have been in this city since 1994, and it was a different place. I want to thank you for your proactivity in bringing this moratorium to the forefront, because economically we have erected gigantic barriers to certain businesses that have no business being labeled as adult businesses in 2026. We have two categories of business, tattoo and massage, both of which are incredibly heavily regulated by the state of Michigan and Oakland County. And that's the reason why every restaurant doesn't come in front of you and why every other sort of store doesn't come in front of you, is because they're heavily regulated by the state and the county and other entities. That's why lawyers don't come in front of you. I mean, Michael came here in 93, I came here in 94, just lawyers popping up everywhere. We didn't have to come in front of you because we weren't an adult use. And there's a joke in there somewhere, but all I'm going to say is that these are not adult uses, and it's smart and proactive to take sections of your ordinance that do not conform with our economic growth and shelve them, because it gives you an opportunity while you're writing the new zoning ordinance in consultation with the new master plan to see what happens. And I think what you'll see happens is that, first of all, you've got these young ladies who all of a sudden say, we want to be in Royal Oak. And I think what you're going to find is that you have a lot of these establishments that want to make our community their business home. I sit on the, I'm a member of Aurora, and I asked them at the last meeting, you know, is tattoo and massage something you want? And they're like, absolutely, down to a person, absolutely unanimously, because this is the type of walk traffic that we want, and this is the type of filling of vacancies that we want. And these businesses have no more of a threat to the public safety than a law firm or a restaurant, because they're regulated. So I would say that it's a great move, it's the right time. It gives you time to collect data before you do your zoning ordinance amendments, and it's an appropriate subject for a moratorium. So I applaud this move. It's the right move, it's a good move. And the 2 tattoo or 3 tattoo or 4 tattoo, or I think 6 places that we have that are adult uses that had to go through the queue for ZBA have been great corporate citizens. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Razor. Anybody else tonight? Yes, sir, in the back.
to bring us to a conclusion to public comment, here's some music for you guys. The address is to you.
I'm sorry, what's happening? Oh, I didn't hear.
I didn't hear his name.
Everyone drinks here, no one makes trouble. We got miners and ranchers, rednecks and hippies, hotshots and cowboys, poets and lifties. And there's one thing that this whole damn bar can agree on. We live here 'cause we don't like concrete or neon. And if it ain't gone,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I didn't catch the name of this public commenter.
Hey, can we have your name, sir, for the record?
All right, Michael Willard.
Oh, Michael Willard. All right.
the rich folks are squeezing us right out of room. If it ain't gone yet, it's going soon. Well, I wish we could live here in sweet harmony, but they tore down the rentals and clear cut the trees to build their 10,000 square foot second homes. Oh, but who's gonna serve them their champagne and snow? And if it ain't gone yet, it's going soon. Get your last round in at the Dirtbag Saloon. The rich folks are squeezing us right out of room. If it ain't gone yet, it's going soon. Well, I carved out a life between river and stone, under wood smoke and bright stars. These hills are my home. Now don't get me wrong, yeah, I save for my rent. Maybe I should stay quiet, I need every last cent. Now Linda jumps up on her velvet pool table, yells, settle your debts, kids, get out while you're able. The house lights are up, now there is no doubt. It's a last call for good times in the town that's sold out. And if it ain't gone yet, it's going soon.
All right, thank you, Mr. Willard. That's a first at public comment. I haven't heard that one before. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? All right, we're going to close public comment and bring the meeting back to this side of the table. All right, we have a consent agenda this evening. Does anyone wish to pull anything off tonight's consent agenda? With none, do I see anybody that wishes to move the consent agenda? Commissioner Gantina moves to approve, seconded by Commissioner Bastian. Discussion, Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to point out on the consent agenda, there's a couple cool things. One is the approval of contract for Gundire Park, which is being upgraded this summer. It's getting new baseball fields with benches and fencing and bleachers, new soccer fields that can be configured in different configurations for different sizes. We have room for 2 different sizes, which is really cool. So it's going to be flexible for the 5,000 kids in Royal Oak that play soccer. It's going to be able to hit a lot of them. It's getting a new playground with structure, bike racks, tables, and a platform for an ADA restroom. It's getting 6 parking spaces. So this is, another gem of an upgrade. I can't count how many parks we've upgraded now in the time that we've been doing this. So thanks to, Joseph and Nikki are both here tonight. Thank you both for the work that's happened. This was a block grant upgrade, and I'm really excited to see that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I just also wanted to uplift, I see Ms. Kemp, Shelley Kemp here, Lonnie say she's here. The Youth Assistance Board is being approved tonight. They do a lot of great work, a lot of hard work. Volunteers who are constantly out there. I'm shocked you're not sleeping right now after being up all day on Mother's Day, hustling flowers. But our partnership with the Youth Agreement has been really memorable and productive through the years. And then finally, we have a bunch of volunteers on the Appointments Committee rotations tonight who are going to give up their nights and weekends and time to spend here at City Hall making the city better. So, thank you to all those volunteers.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole.
Anybody
Anybody
else?
else?
Consent agenda, sorry.
All right, Commissioner Chisholm?
Thank you. Thanks for kicking it off about Roya. I did want to also give that a shout out because we are approving the board members as well as the fiscal year report, which I think is actually like the last academic year. I now have the honor of serving as the commission liaison with Roya, and what I wanted to specifically say is how much Roya does for families in our community, that they do have funds available for families that are facing hardship and have an emergency that they need some help with, provide some sort of social learning curricula for our elementary school kids that's really important, and offers scholarships for kids to go to summer camps, and lastly does this really amazing celebration of a lot of kids in all of our schools in Royal Oak to take note of the kids who are being really exceptionally kind or leaders or exceptionally compassionate, as well as kids who have had a tough time but are really doing well and thriving. So I just think that this is a really amazing organization. I want to echo, my applause for Shelley, because she does work really hard, and I think it's really interesting. This board seems like it might be a little bit like Hotel California, from what I'm understanding, in that there's people who've been on this board for decades, for a really long time anyway. So a lot of really committed folks there. So thank you.
All right. Excellent comments, and thank you both. And thank you for all you do, Shelley.
No problem. You're welcome.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right, that brings us to the item number 7 on tonight's agenda, which is approval of ordinance amendment adopting the International Fire Code of 2021. First reading, we have Mr. Markham, and do we have Fire Marshal Gardner here? There he is. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you, sir?
Good. Let Mr. Markham kick it off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll kick this off. This ordinance update is primarily a housekeeping measure. What it does is it formally adopts the 2021 International Fire Code to keep the city current with the state's transition to the 2021 code cycle. The state of Michigan doesn't adopt formally the International Fire Code, but it does adopt the 2021 Building Code of Michigan, which was adopted April 9, 2025. So as a result, this timing keeps the city largely consistent with the state's transition to the 2021 code cycle. So it's not a part of any delay on the part of the city, it's the state's delay in adopting the building code. Because the fire code and the building code work together on many construction and life safety issues, municipalities commonly update their locally adopted fire prevention ordinance to align with that same code cycle. That's historically been the city's position on that as well. So this ordinance is intended to bring the city's fire prevention regulations into consistency with that current code standards. In addition to adopting the base code, the city's fire prevention, the ordinance also includes a number of targeted local amendments requested by the fire department. Many of those provisions reflect operational practices, while others address local enforcement and fire prevention issues that have arisen since the city's last update of the code. And we have both Fire Chief Cook and Fire Marshal Gardner, who will be here to address any operational issues with this particular ordinance, should the commission have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Markham. Any questions for Mr. Markham first? Commissioner Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Markham. I understand that the IFC at times has implemented or had administrative requirements that would often differ from the ordinances or administrative policies within a local municipality. Is there any issue with that, with this particular version? I understand 2015 had some of those. Does 2021 have any administrative burdens that the city could face?
Actually, the 2021 code remedies a few of those administrative burdens from the 2015 ordinance. In particular, there was a provision in the 2015 ordinance that required essentially a termination for cause hearing for both the building official and the fire marshal should that individual be terminated, and that created particular problems with compliance with at-will employment at various municipalities. The 2021 code has remedied that and has taken that language out completely. So actually, by requesting this particular ordinance adoption, Fire Marshal Gardner's removing some of his own protections.
Is that a conflict then? Should we-
It's an anti-conflict. Any other questions for Mr. Markham? Fire Marshal Gardner, anything to add?
Good evening, everybody. I don't have a song for you, but yeah, you don't want to see that. No, this is just, like Mr. Markham said, administrative cleanup. We tried to clean up the language. There was some ambiguity in some of the local ordinances that we tried to clean up. So really, this is just getting on par with the building codes, making sure that our sprinkler codes, our alarm codes, our building codes all coincide together, because there was a difference between us and the building department that we wanted to close that gap.
Excellent. Any questions? Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. Is the restriction on open burning a fire recommendation or to align with previous action of the City Commission?
Yes, so what we did with the open burning, it was a little ambiguous before. So what we did was we moved it to the open burning section of the 2021 IFC, which is section 307. And what we did is it didn't really specify the difference between recreational fires, between open burning. It just wasn't clear. So all we did was we separated it into, we defined open burning and then limited recreational fires to just natural gas and propane. This would not allow wood burning of any kind that would cause nuisance smoke in the neighborhoods or anything else like that. It really didn't say that in the code before. And then we also made a provision for commercially available smokers. There was a lot of confusion as to whether those were allowed. And so we called it out that any commercial smoking equipment that uses the recommended fuel is allowed within the city.
Okay. But then the recreational burning being limited to gas or propane, is that a fire recommendation, or is that based on the commission's previous actions, not allowing wood?
Yeah, that is based on the commission.
Okay.
Well, we also support that we don't want open burning.
Okay.
But it's going off of primarily the commission. I don't want to see open burning in the city. It just causes too many problems.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Fire Marshal Gardner? Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the initiative. It's hard work what you do. It's important work because the best fire is one that never happens.
Exactly.
And making sure that, there isn't a disconnect, and, as we have folks that are investing in businesses and construction and all that, they understand clearly what they need to do, and we're not having to scramble the last minute to figure out, is it A, is it B, is it C? And so I think this is a really smart thing to modernize, but also make sure that we're in sync with the building department, because there is overlay, and really appreciate the effort.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Fire Marshal Gardner. All right. So we have an ordinance amendment in front of us.
To approve?
We have a motion by Commissioner Herzog, second by Commissioner Cheatham. Discussion? Discussion, Commissioner Colo? Any discussion on this one? No?
Talk about how handsome he looks, Mayor.
Thank you.
I was not talking about that.
Oh, man. If I had $1 every time I heard that, I'd have 50 cents. I almost got complimented once in my life. All right. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right, that brings us to item 8, zoning ordinance text amendment for senior accessory dwelling floor area. First reading, Mr. Murphy.
In the city's one-family residential zoning district, large lot zoning district, is a maximum usable residential floor area of 3,500 square feet. And senior accessory dwellings are special land use in that zoning district. They can be no bigger than 600 square feet in floor area. They count towards the total 3,500 square feet of floor area. So that 600 maximum plus the existing dwelling that's there equates to the difference from 3,500 square feet. And this proposed text amendment would exempt senior accessory dwellings from that calculation of 3,500 square feet. The Planning Commission at its March meeting did hold a public hearing, and they unanimously recommended approval and adoption of the petitioner's proposed text amendment. And the text amendment would exempt, again, senior accessory dwelling, the floor area, from that overall calculation of 3,500 square feet. It would not change the existing maximum allowable size for a senior accessory dwelling, again, 600 square feet. And it's specific, the text amendment request that you have in front of you tonight is specific to the one-family large lot residential zoning district only. So the petitioner is here tonight to present their background. They've also given you a written statement to that effect. They have gone through the process of an approval for a senior accessory dwelling. A year ago, they were granted special land use approval from the Planning Commission. The existing house that's on the site does exceed that 3,500 square feet, so that necessitated them going to the Zoning Board of Appeals, where they did not obtain the necessary variance. They've elected to request that you consider and adopt a text amendment. I will highlight that while their request is unique to their individual circumstance, that if you do adopt on second reading, if you do adopt the text amendment request, obviously it applies to every property owner within the one-family residential large lot zoning district. So while the petitioner has presented their personal experience, I would caution you to limit your view and vantage point of this request based on that alone.
Questions for Mr. Murphy? Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Murphy, what is a petitioner's standard recourse for when a zoning board of appeals has not granted a variance?
Per the state act, if the zoning board of appeals denied their variance request, their statutory pathway is circuit court, local circuit court.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Commissioner Teasdale.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about where the 3,500 square foot requirement comes from? What's behind that?
Yes, and so can some of our city commission members that are on the planning commission, because several months ago, since the adoption of the master plan, staff took the initiative to, while we were trying to solicit and retain a consultant to start the process of the comprehensive rewrite of the zoning ordinance, which has started. But in that meantime, between the adoption of the master plan and the start of rewriting the zoning ordinance, staff took the liberty of elevating certain topics that we felt were of importance to be highlighted and given attention to prior to the start of the comprehensive rewrite. And this particular provision, the 3,500 square feet, is one that was presented to the Planning Commission and to the public at large several months ago. So there was an excellent, in my opinion, an excellent conversation at the Planning Commission that was based on staff's history of that 3,500 square feet. And it was born out, originally it was born out of the legitimate concerns that residents had in the master plan that was ultimately adopted in 1999, so in the late 90s. And
there was an attempt at drawing a limit in terms of a comfortable square footage, a maximum square footage threshold. And the 3,500 square feet was ultimately selected from a variety of different options, from floor area ratios to 3,500 square feet. And 3,500 square feet is the threshold at which, for a residential building permit, an architect must seal the drawing. That is largely where that 3,500 square feet was born from, is that threshold at which it enters into a different requirement under the state building code requirement to obtain a building permit. But at the time it was adopted in, I believe, 2006 or 2007, somewhere in that range, the residential, as many of us may recall, the residential housing market had bottomed out. And so there was very little, if not any, new construction or additions that were reaching that threshold. So it became very much something that wasn't a threshold that builders were trying to seek a variance from in order to construct. Fast forward, and now we do have, they're not prevalent, but we see more requests to exceed the 3,500 square feet based on a variety of things, return on investment, the market, what have you. So 3,500 square feet has been in place for quite some time, and we did identify in the memorandum and in the discussion at the Planning Commission that that is something that needs to be studied and reconsidered during this comprehensive rewrite of the zoning ordinance. So staff did not have any complete direction. We certainly want the zoning ordinance consultant that we have to assist us with that, but we did identify some of the concerns that we have and the number of variances that have been requested since it was adopted. So there have been quite a few.
Can I do one? And another question I had was, can you define what you mean by single-family large lots? Like, what are dimensions? Like, and also, if you have this is like math, but what proportion of that lot is covered by a 3,500 square foot lot?
So 3,500 square feet of maximum residential floor area applies to the one-family residential and the one-family large lot residential zoning district. Hence the term, the large lots are larger in size. There are 3 or 4 pockets of those throughout the city, but largely that 3,500 square feet also applies to the bulk of our residential neighborhoods. And it has no regard with, no relation or regard to lot coverage, which is an entirely different calculation. So 3,500 square feet of a single-story home certainly has a larger footprint and massing and size on a very small lot than it does on a lot that's a half an acre or 3/4 to a half an acre in size. So that application of 3,500 square feet was very uniform in nature, and we do have concerns over that.
Okay, thank you for that. And this action would only apply to those larger lots, though. So when we're talking about adding another 600 square foot unit to a lot, these are only those larger lots. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
In this instance?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a limited number of properties located in that one particular zoning district.
Commissioner Gantina?
I think there was a question from Commissioner Chisholm that didn't get answered that I'm going to try to help answer. So the large lot residential designation is specifically applied to lots that are 13,000 square feet or larger. So there's a very specific numerical square footage to the lot for it to have that designation. For Mr. Murphy, I believe you alluded to it, but I just want to make sure that we're very clear in the statements. So the text amendment that is under consideration tonight is specifically for the large lot designated properties, correct?
Only, correct.
However, the lot coverage percentage limitation that those lots, as well as other lots, still have is still in place. Correct. I believe it's 30%, correct?
That's correct.
And all the existing setbacks that are currently part of the ordinance are still in place, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure I was clear on everything that was staying in place. And so really what we're talking about tonight is specifically these larger lots and whether or not they can reasonably accommodate this additional 600 square foot senior accessory dwelling unit and separate from the other limitations. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Murphy, in your February 27, 2006 report to the Planning Commission, it's noted, or I'm sorry, your department's report, I don't know who wrote it, it's noted that the amendment, or yeah, the text amendment as proposed did not, it was narrowly tailored to the property owner's current circumstance, and there's some legal shortcomings, administrative shortcomings. Were those corrected or discussed at the Planning Commission, and what was the outcome of that?
They were briefly discussed at the Planning Commission meeting, because the Planning Commission did hear the petitioner's original request several months ago. And we do understand that the current ordinance for accessory dwelling units does have shortcomings. That policy to write a new ordinance has been established in the master plan, and we're uncertain at this point as to how that new ordinance would be crafted and worded, but we do want to take into effect some of the consultants' concerns or observations that they've helped other communities across the country with. But we do note that there are some shortcomings, specifically that it relates exclusively to seniors. That's one of the shortcomings that we think needs to be corrected.
So you think that the plan department thinks that taking out senior would be appropriate at this point? So it'd be family dwelling or some other terminology?
That it not be limited to an individual of a certain age threshold.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Murphy? Okay. So we have some text amendments in front of us. Commissioner Colo?
So listening to Mr. Murphy just now, I would be interested in knowing if we did want to take this out, take senior out of it to align with the plan department's recommendation and make this for any family member, not limited by age. Take the age restriction out so it's family members, which would leave in the existing safeguards built in to our ordinance, how we could possibly go about that tonight.
Well, I'd have to consult with our city attorney team. Would that just be?
We're both reaching for the mic.
I mean,
Josh run it.
Yeah, Mr. Marco.
I'm reading the ordinance right now.
I know in the past we have, on first reading, approved something with the direction of staff to make the changes as we talked about at the table, and come back with the resolution on changes on second reading.
Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable process to amend a proposed amendment here at the dais, and we bring back at second reading the amendment as revised, subject to your approval at second reading. I will also note, I would like this to come back before the board or before the commission in the format I believe is required to amend an ordinance, meaning it has some saving clause or repealers and stuff like that that is not here in some publication information. So that'll also give us a chance to properly bring it back to the board in the properly formatted ordinance adoption that I like to see.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ray, at least for me, I'd like to hear what my colleagues feel, but I think that this is a good step. It's laid out in our master plan that we just passed. We had 10,000 data points. Like, we know this is the direction that we're moving. This is for large lots that can take up that space. It was passed by the Planning Commission unanimously. It's unfortunate that it went from planning and then stopped at the ZBA. I'm not quite sure why it died at the ZBA, but this seems to be something that is just good for the housing stock in the city. It's good for people, people who want to continue living their residence. So I'd be interested in moving this forward tonight. Just love to hear what people think. In fact, I'll move approval with of all the resolutions directing staff to change out senior living as recommended.
Okay, with a motion by Commissioner Cole, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hunt? Okay, discussion. Commissioner Gantina.
My feelings are that we should be a little bit cautious in making this change right now, only from the standpoint of the senior accessory dwelling unit is essentially something that's on the books already. It's been studied, it's part of our ordinance, it is considered a special land use. Our discussion here tonight is essentially how we're handling a known quantity. While I don't disagree that our master plan and our desire is to explore how we can meaningfully incorporate traditional non-age or family restricted accessory dwelling units, that has yet to be studied as part of the overall zoning ordinance update. And that's where I'd be a little bit more cautious to make that change tonight because that's an unknown quantity at this point. We're going to be doing the work to understand and make that a known quantity, whereas the senior accessory dwelling units are effectively a known quantity that we're sort of discussing tonight. So that's my only comment in terms of having a little bit of pause as to making the change you're suggesting.
Commissioner Bastian?
I echo Commissioner Gantina's sentiments. I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals, full transparency, when this case was brought to us, and it came to a 4-4 tie. I place a lot of faith in city staff and their concerns about the fact that we're already in the process of rewriting the zoning ordinance in as much as an outside party has been contracted to do so. They're experts, and the city planners are experts, this outside consulting firm are experts. There's a lot of nuance in language, and I would like to have that input before we were to make any decisions. So I would, again, support Commissioner Gantina's move for caution.
Mr. Markham.
And what I was looking for was some language in the Zoning Enabling Act that I couldn't find, but my concern primarily with the broadening of it is that it does change materially the argument and the scope of what both the public and the Planning Commission heard in the recommendations that they made to this commission.
Anybody else? Commissioner Hunt?
Well, I can appreciate Mr. Markham's statements, and that may change things a little bit in my head, and Commissioner Gantina's. But I still feel this is still quite a bit of a limited scope, given that it's tailored toward the single-family large lot, and I don't know how many of those that we actually have in the city. It's not a ton where we're going to get all of these petitions to have these additional dwellings. But similar to Commissioner Colo's statement, we do realize that we need a diverse housing stock here. There is a zoning rewrite in place. Who knows how long that is going to take? And it gives, individuals that, have a need for having, whether it's their kids, their aging parents, or, maybe even special needs younger individuals of their family being able to be on a lot with them. So I would still be supportive of the motion.
Commissioner Teasum?
It's an interesting discussion. I've been listening to all the points. I think everyone has a lot of really valid points. Mr. Markham's statements are important to me to consider as a non-attorney, because I really need to rely on the attorneys at the table. But I would also say these ADUs are not cheap to build. They're pretty, they cost a lot of money. I don't know that there's a whole lot of residents right now banging down the door to build them. So to me, I'm leaning towards not voting in favor of this current motion due to that addition. Though I appreciate the sentiment behind it, Commissioner Colo, and I agree that I'm on board for wanting some more housing options in our city, but I'm also happy to slow the roll a little bit on that so that we can do the due diligence, have the study done, get the input from staff, make sure have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed with the language. And I don't think that this is going to negatively impact any residents in the city while we take that time to do those things. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness at the table. I'm going to vote against this current motion due to that thinking, but I'm hopeful I think we'll have perhaps another motion if this one doesn't pass.
Mr. Colo?
Thank you. No, I'll also point out an option we have here tonight is to send it back to the Planning Commission for consideration, which could be with this modification. But I think at this point it's time we can move forward. I don't like the idea of necessarily maybe changing it for one case, and if we open this up a little bit wider, a little bit more broad, knowing one, also seniors aren't defined in our ordinance also. So this ordinance is rife with errors as it is, and it was set up with errors from the get-go. People have to come in and prove that they are old. What does that mean, right? There is no level of it. So is it my senior in high school I can build an ADU for? So when they come home from college or trade school for the summer, they can live there. Does that count as a senior? But it does say senior. And they're elderly. Well, I'm like, I guess that's a perspective, my friend. But it's not defined. So I would be willing to let between first and second reading, let staff take it back. If they come back to us by second reading and say, hey, these changes you couldn't make, so even though you had wanted to make them, you can't. But here is what the text allows us to approve between first reading and second reading. So then we can have that debate again at second reading if we want to move forward with that. But I think staff is open that if they find what we're trying to do here tonight just is too broad or not within the confines of what we're allowed to do, they do have the ability to bring it back to us at second reading without that change. And then I just go back to looking at the Plan Commission report to the Planning Committee saying that the Planning Department did identify errors in this. So I would like to fix those errors that have already been identified from the Planning Department.
I just have a question for Mr. Murphy, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. With this proposal that Commissioner Colo has on the table, it still doesn't permit anybody from, or it's still like, we have to set, there's issues with ADUs in the past because people are worried about a mass Airbnb rental market and all of these things. Whether you call it senior accessory dwelling or you just say accessory dwelling on these large lots, we're still talking about family members being able to live there. It doesn't open up the door for any sort of rental compensation or anything like that, correct? That's a different rental ordinance that we would have to address.
Correct.
Okay.
If I may?
Yeah.
I'd like to read a section from the master plan with regard specifically to accessory dwelling units.
Okay.
So there's a keen focus on accessory dwelling units, and it's to establish an ordinance enabling accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, in residential districts, tailored to their configuration as internal, detached, and attached ADUs, and that the surrounding neighborhoods and character, along with the appropriate standards concerning setbacks from neighboring properties and other commonly regulated conditions for ADUs. So that I envision as far more than just changing some text in the existing ordinance. One of the things that the Planning Commission had a study session on, I believe it was last September, was form-based codes, and that is certainly something that's referenced time and time again as a possible solution to many of the concerns that are addressed with things like accessory dwelling units. And the current text that we have doesn't go far enough to describe all of those intricacies that a form-based code can help accomplish with making sure that things are compatible in the consideration of whether an accessory unit is attached or detached. We certainly wouldn't want to allow for an accessory dwelling unit to be construction of a new two-story garage in a two-story detached garage in a neighborhood that's completely dominated by nothing but one-story single-family homes with one-story detached garages. That second-story accessory dwelling unit would stick out like a sore thumb. And all the text that we currently have does nothing to prohibit that. It leaves it all to the discretion under that special land use review to the Planning Commission. So the master plan does direct us to look at creating or establishing an ordinance enabling accessory dwelling units. When I hear that word enabling, I look toward permitted use, not a special land use. So those are all the directions that we're going to be working with our zoning ordinance consultant, ZoneCo, on how to craft appropriate measures for accessory dwelling units, again, whether they're attached, detached, etc. And I'll add the complexity that many of you know that there's legislation that's proceeding forward at the state level that would enable accessory dwelling units essentially statewide and take away much of all of the local control. So while we're developing our rewrite of our zoning ordinance, which will incorporate accessory dwelling units, the state is also going forward on a parallel path with something that may just take away our right in its entirety to have any governance over accessory dwelling units.
But thank you, and I think that's very helpful because the answer is we're going to figure this out down the road more comprehensively in our discussion at planning, so you guys understand. Well, Woody knows, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Gantina knows. You know, when we talk about aging in place and we talk about the price of real estate, we talk about caregivers and all of these things, ADUs are a solution for a lot of families to have a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, a child, a healthcare helper, maybe somebody that's going to OCC and can support somebody that needs help in the house and gets a break on rent or doesn't pay rent but lives there and can help their neighbor and make sure that people can age with dignity in the place that they raise their families in and have lived for many decades in some cases. But those are the minutia of the details we need to figure out later. We're not figuring that out here tonight. So the fundamental question with the motion on the table, which I was supportive of the original text, okay, because it's a good first step to address an issue specific with senior accessory dwellings. However, point should be made, what is a senior definition, all of these, there's all these clunky things, which is why we're rewriting our zoning ordinance. It's just a patchwork of reaction over the years, right? So I guess the key question is, if we remove senior out of this text amendment recommendation, what sort of issues do you foresee happening?
I still see it being completely rewritten in the near future.
Yeah.
Regardless of any text amendments that you.
And I don't see a rush, a gold rush for everybody to come in and build these things because they won't be able to rent them out. They won't be able to, you know, unless they have a need, unless they have a need for a caregiver to live in their place. But I mean, we're talking about 6 months to a year before we get this new zoning ordinance written. So, or at least even earlier than that when we're having the conversations as far as what we're going to do. So I don't know that it hurts anything, but you know, I don't know. Commissioner Colo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I definitely respect everything I've heard here tonight and would vote, if this fails, I'd also vote for a clean passage of it. I will say, though, that the current ordinance as it stands does limit who can live inside an ADU to a family member. So I think all that this amendment would do here would just allow it to be a younger family member, potentially, not necessarily a senior member. So I just think that it, in this next 6 months to a year, whenever the zoning's changed, this gives us a little time to allow other family members, and it does say family member, must continue to occupy the dwelling unit. So I don't think we would take that out. So this is just shifting it from being only seniors to maybe, you know, the adult child, you know, younger children, who knows who, but it would continue to be a family member. I think that's a key aspect of this because we're not opening this up to rentals, to Airbnbs. We're leaving it to being family members. I think, limiting it to family members is that good first step protection that we need right now.
And I think that's a good point because we often think about, mom and dad moving in with us. In some cases, it makes sense for us to move in with mom and dad. They have their house and, hey, I can come help you out for any number of months or years. So
Charlie's gonna kick me off one day.
it's true. Surprised it hasn't happened yet. Mr. Markham.
I do apologize. I'm doing a lot of thinking on the fly because I didn't contemplate this particular request for a change. But I will point out that the request for the text amendment to the ordinance is just for a small subsection of 770.71. 770.71, the overriding ordinance provision is for senior accessory housing units. So I think based on pure statutory construction, simply changing or taking out the senior in the small subsection that's in front of you isn't going to do anything.
Okay. All right.
I don't think it broadens it the way that Commissioner Cole is intending, based on reading the ordinance as a whole.
Okay. Commissioner Gantina?
Well, I just want to speak to, I guess, some of the discussion that did happen at Planning Commission and certainly to my vote on the Planning Commission to recommend approval of this text amendment. The discussion was centered around a very narrowly tailored amendment to a very specific ordinance on a very specific type of lot in the community. The discussion we're having now based on the motion really takes the cap off of that conversation and I think if that was the original intent or context of the conversation, the votes and the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and certainly potentially my vote, would have been very different. And so that's where I can't support this motion in the sense that what's in front of us and what was discussed previously, again, was very narrowly tailored to a very specific condition. The discussion now is again, opening that up and really broadening it to where it's deviating from what's in front of us today, is my opinion.
Commissioner Herzog.
Thank you. I was in support of the clean that was given to us, and I feel a little bit more concerned. It's not going to get the impact that Commissioner Cola wants if we approve what he has asked. That's been. I also don't really like staff doing things on the fly. I think there's a process in which we think things through and we have conversation before we get to the table. So I would be probably a no on the current one that Commissioner Colo has, though I am very supportive of moving this forward with a yes vote.
I guess I'll just add, we're at a point now I'm going to call for the vote here after I just make a brief point. If you support this, then like Mr. Markham said, it doesn't change anything from the original motion, right? But it also affords staff the opportunity to make some of the modifications that they had asked, to fit into the framework. So, and if you don't, then it comes back and we vote on the original, and that's fine too. So I don't think what we have on the table is going to make any meaningful change or difference. So I'm going to call for the vote on this one, see where it goes, and then if we need to put a new one on the table, we can do that. So I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Can I see a hand of the ayes? 3? Okay, the motion fails. Okay. Does anyone else wish to make a motion? Commissioner Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor, we have a question, petitioner.
We have another eye down here.
Yeah, I actually made a mistake and voted
Oh, so the motion passes.
It was a mistake on my part.
So who voted in favor?
Commissioner Gantina,
Well, who else?
Commissioner Colo, myself, and Commissioner Hunt.
Mr. Mayor, we have a question. We're the petitioner in this case. Can we ask a question?
1 second. We're trying to sort through something. So we have 4 yeses. Okay. So the motion passed in the original text with the modification to remove the word senior.
So if I understand it, you voted aye and your intent was to vote no, is that correct? We have not moved on to the next agenda item, so by unanimous consent, we can reconsider and reopen the vote.
I'd like to move for reconsideration of the vote.
Okay, we have motion for reconsideration of the vote.
Of what one? Commissioner Colo's motion?
Yes, Commissioner Coloso's motion. Actually, Commissioner Cheatham had put the motion out there, but it never went anywhere, so no one seconded
No,
it.
she didn't
No,
because
she
we were
didn't.
dealing with
Oh,
Woody.
okay. Her hand was
Mr.
just
Mayor,
up.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Then please don't. So, that's okay. So we have a motion to reconsider. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Hunt. All right. I'm going to call for the vote on the reconsideration. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
This is on just the reconsideration.
Just the reconsideration.
Oh,
God, oh my
jeez.
Reconsideration, voted for, okay. Yes.
Colo, thank you.
The vote right now is on the reconsideration of Commissioner Gantina's vote solely.
All those opposed, no. Okay, so it was unanimous. Everyone voted reconsideration. So we're back to the motion. No, actually, we're back to nothing now, correct? We're back because we've reconsidered the motion.
We're back to Commissioner Colo's amendment that now needs to be voted on.
Okay.
Retaking the vote.
So we're going to retake the vote on the motion to clear the table here. Okay. I'm going to call the vote on Commissioner Colo's vote or motion to remove the word senior from the ordinance. Does everyone understand? I think I understand, so we'll figure this out. All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Hands of the noes. Un, deux, trois, quatre. Okay, 4 noes. All right, so the motion failed, so we're back to the ground zero.
Correct.
Original motion is still in front of us. If someone wants to make a motion, I will let the petitioner speak now.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I stand before you as a resident of Royal Oak, 1423 Greenleaf, and I'm certainly a live example of someone that's affected by the senior accessory dwelling unit rule. And I can show you a real senior. I didn't bring her, but she's, she's got Alzheimer's, so she doesn't have a lot of time. And so, we have the rules in front of us as a resident, which we were able to successfully get approval for an accessory dwelling unit because that's what's on the books, but we weren't able to use it. So I'm here tonight asking for a simple amendment so families like mine can use the senior dwelling unit ordinance as intended. I'm the primary caregiver for my mother, Susan, who has Alzheimer's. She needs to live with our family for her safety and care. We already went through the city's process and received planning approval for a senior accessory dwelling unit. But because of the way the ordinance is currently written, that approval is effectively meaningless. Our home is already at the 3,500 threshold. It's actually a little bit more because we got a previous approval. That 600 square feet count towards the number, but I can't live there, right? Because that's how the rules work. So it doesn't make sense that it should be counted against me. As we heard, as far as the original intent of the 3,500 square foot limitation, architect sealed drawings, it was never intended to prevent families from caring for aging parents. Makes no logical sense to count this 600 square feet against me. Again, I can't use it. We have plenty of room on our property. I think we calculated like 17,000 square feet, so we're definitely not going to be over the coverage. The house is not currently safe for my mother. She already fell there once staying with us. There's no realistic way to redesign our existing home to meet her safety needs. I'm simply asking the commission to clarify that the 600 square feet of an approved senior accessory dwelling unit does not count towards the primary home's 3,500 square foot calculation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Questions for the petitioner?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Murphy spoke earlier about the process that one typically would go through in order to appeal a decision of the ZBA would be going through the circuit court in Oakland County. Did you go file an appeal with the circuit court of Oakland County?
No, we did not.
If I could speak to that question as well. Good evening, my name is Patrick Howell, I represent the petitioner. I apologize for the confusion. I thought this was the same format as the Planning Commission, in which we'd be given an opportunity to present our request. This is not a city-driven ordinance revision. This is a petition to amend the ordinance, and it's described very narrowly tailored to the square footage issue. A lawsuit wasn't filed because this is self-created. We went to the BZA and we're saying, we want to move mom home. We want to build a space for mom. And that's all we're trying to do here. We're not trying to sneak closer to our neighbors or build a bigger house because we want a bigger house. We're trying to bring mom home. And so no, a lawsuit wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't be in the spirit of what we're trying to do. And all the questions tonight about changing the definition of senior accessory dwelling or making it accessory dwelling or making it family dwelling, those are all great ideas. And we'll follow those. We have interest in following those. And we think housing is evolving and changing, and we need to be more flexible. But before you tonight is simply a square footage question. And what we're trying to do, based on my recommendation to Mr. Blauer after I got involved, I was not involved in the first round regarding the special land use approval and then the tie before the BZA. I said, this needs to be fixed. You got two competing sections of your ordinance. You have a 3,500 square foot cap that came out of nowhere, applies to almost all the lots. And then you have a 600 square foot cap for mom. There's no exception there. We're not trying to build a bigger house just to build a bigger house. We're trying to build a bigger house to implement this section of your ordinance that's been on the books for 20 years and not one has been built. So maybe this is the first step to building one. So that's what we're requesting. We're requesting to just blend together in the appropriate district, mind you, the large lot district, for the first step to bring mom home. Now, I've heard discussion tonight about errors. There's errors in the language. There's no errors mentioned here other than removing the word unit. With all due respect, the planning department hasn't indicated any errors in our very small amendment. And the discussion about state legislation is going to regulate accessory dwellings and this might all be mute. Yeah, it might be. Who knows? And the zoning ordinance can be rewritten. That could take 6 months, a year, or might not get rewritten. Focused here is just trying to blend together two sections in this ordinance for Mr. Blauer, obviously, and anyone else that might be similarly situated. Because as it stands right now, unless your house is 2,900 square feet or less, you can't add a 600 square foot senior accessory dwelling without going to the BZA. And that's not what the BZA is for. The BZA is not to make exceptions to that. And so is this going to go wild? Is this going to go crazy? No, because it's still regulated by a special land use permit. So as you see from the Planning Commission video, which was a unanimous approval for this proposal, I think this is a great small fix and a great first step to fixing the senior accessory dwelling and fixing the general accessory dwelling initiatives that are set forth in your master plan as stated in my letter of February 3rd. So I'm not going to belabor this anymore. The arguments are set forth in my letter. The support and the standards for an amendment in section 770.130 are satisfied as outlined in my letter. And we just asked if you focus tonight on what we're requesting, the simple change of bringing these two sections of the ordinance together, and we think it'd be a great first step, not only Mr. Blauer, but anyone else similarly situated. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Commissioner Gantina.
I'd like to move approval of a text amendment as presented by staff.
A motion by Commissioner Gantina. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chisholm. All right, discussion. I'll just add that I appreciate Commissioner Colo. I don't have an issue expanding this by not limiting it to just seniors, to any family member in need or family members that are helping people live in the home in need. Obviously, there's some text issues. There are issues defining what a senior is and what a senior isn't. So, but I think the point is valid. We discussed this at planning. We had the senior accessory dwelling provision and text for a long time in play, and nothing has ever come out of it. So it doesn't work. We're talking about large lots. We're not talking about 600 additional square feet on 3,500 feet on a 40-foot lot, you know, in the south part of Royal Oak. That's just not going to happen. You have setbacks. You have lot coverage, all of these things still apply. And I look at this, yeah, it's going to likely help an individual petitioner. And we see sometimes petitioners, it makes a lot of sense for them to bring their case to challenge our ordinances and to see where the flaws are and to try something new. And this will try something new, and I think it will be good to have this in place to see how it goes. And if we have 20 people lined up to do this, great. Then we can be more informed about the permanent zoning ordinance changes that we will be making out of this committee here, or out of planning, and then out of this commission. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I think it's a good way, a good test bed, a good lead into the work that we've committed ourselves to do after the master plan, and I'll be fully supportive of it, and hope you guys will too. So, all right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No? No from Commissioner Bastian? Okay. All right. Motion passes 6-1. Good luck. All right, this brings us to item 9, which is approval of resolution establishing a temporary moratorium suspending use and location variances for specific personal service uses. Mr. Grachowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Before you tonight is a proposed temporary and narrowly tailored moratorium related to certain zoning provisions applicable to tattooing, dermablading, permanent cosmetics, and massage establishments. The purpose of this item is not to newly authorize or broadly deregulate these uses, but rather to provide a temporary and orderly transition period while the city undertakes broader zoning ordinance modernization efforts tied directly to implementation of the recently adopted 2025 master plan. As outlined in the agenda materials, portions of the current zoning ordinance still classify these specific uses alongside historically regulated adult-oriented commercial enterprises and require use and location variances in circumstances where similar personal service uses may otherwise be appropriate within commercial districts, including portions of the downtown. In practice, that framework has increasingly resulted in repeated variance requests, inconsistent outcomes, unnecessary procedural burdens, and difficulty in applying older spacing standards within a substantially developed urban environment. It's also important to recognize that when many of these zoning ordinance provisions were originally adopted decades ago, I think some folks spoke about that this evening, the regulatory landscape was very different. At that time, there was significantly less or no state license or health oversight applicable to these professions, and municipalities were often left to regulate many aspects of these businesses locally through zoning, spacing, and licensing regulations. Since then, both massage establishments and tattoo and body art establishments have become far more mainstream and are now much more heavily regulated at the state and county level through professional licensing, health department oversight, inspection, sanitation requirements, and other various regulatory controls. Parts of the purpose of this review is to ensure the city's zoning framework appropriately reflects those modern regulatory realities while still preserving all local public health and safety enforcement authority. This resolution, as narrowly drafted, would temporarily suspend only the procedural requirement for certain use and location variances tied specifically to those two classifications only, while the city undertakes its full evaluation of permanent ordinance amendments. Importantly, all other applicable laws, licensing requirement, health regulations, nuisance standards, building and fire codes, and public safety enforcement authority would remain fully in effect. Ultimately, the intent of this item is to allow for a more thoughtful, deliberate, and modernized review of these land use classifications while promoting greater consistency, predictability, and alignment with contemporary planning practices and current updated state licensing frameworks that regulate these businesses. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Grachowski. Questions for Mr. Grachowski? Commissioner Herzog.
Actually, my question is for Mr. Murphy. I feel like we have talked about massage, maybe tattoo, like maybe a year ago. Was this one of the topics that the Planning Commission was going to talk about or did a workshop? I feel like this isn't the first time we've talked about it.
Yes, correct. You are correct in that the staff did provide Planning Commission and public with a memorandum regarding adult uses, and many of the, with regard to tattoo, body art facilities and massage, the exact same points that Mr. Gachowski had highlighted to you. And we also discussed the other uses as well, and concerns that we had, and brought up the need that these do need to be revisited in our comprehensive rewrite, and we do need to lean on our consultant and their legal expertise to help us determine best courses of action to change or amend our classification of many of the adult what are considered traditional adult uses. Yes, so it has been talked about. Staff did provide a memorandum several months ago, probably in September, October, November, something of that nature. And there was a great conversation that the Planning Commission had as well. And we did hear some public comment to give us an indication how the public felt as well.
Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's wild that these were originally defined many years ago, and things have quite certainly changed since then, the landscape including. I know that the ZBA has approved many tattoo parlors across town, but not all of them, and I'm not exactly sure why some are approved and some weren't. So I guess, one question I do have for Chief, tattoo parlors were outlawed or became, special land use and adult business, adult use back in 2002, I think. And, I think at the time the perception was that they would lead to crime. I think we heard that public comment tonight, it would lead to crime and deceit, and, the undesirable people would be getting tattoos. Chief, we've had 7 or so tattoo parlors approved in the last several years. Has there been an uptick in crime?
No, and I think since the ordinance was originally written, I think there's been a societal shift. Actually, we now allow the men and women of the police force to have tattoos and things like that, but we've had no uptick in crime related to these tattoo parlors.
Okay, and then similarly, we heard about massage parlors again tonight, what terrible things that happen at them, which seems just to be a thought that no longer exists. I mean, massage parlors were originally defined in our ordinance in 1976. They became adult use in the 90s at some point. I know there was one incident 30-something years ago, and it seems to be taken care of, and since then there's been regulatory frameworks put in place. You often go to conferences, you connect with chiefs across the county. Is this a topic that chiefs of police talk about? Is this a hotbed of crime that you know about?
With specific to massage?
Yes.
No, that's not a topic that comes up in any of the chief circles that we discuss these things, or we talk about crime or an uptick in crime. That's not a topic that has come up recently in the last several years.
Okay, thank you. I mean, these seem to be safe and secure. These seem to be a modernization as we continue to work on our zoning ordinance and our rules and regulations that we just talked about a couple of minutes ago. So I can move approval of the resolution.
We have a motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Herzog. Discussion. Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I lived in Royal Oak in the 1990s when the concerns about the massage parlors on Woodward were very well founded. I mean, there was good reason at the time why these regulations were written. But as many people have said more eloquently than I could, times have changed. I think Ms. Osborne spoke very, very eloquently to the level of regulation from the state that are imposed upon some of these businesses. And, I myself have 11 tattoos. I can assure you, tattoo parlors are some of the cleanest, most sanitary, safest places you could ever walk into. It just makes sense for us to support this moratorium, not only because times have changed, but because this is also an investment in economic development. There are businesses that want to come to this community that, because of this ordinance, can't. It's good for us to welcome in new business. That's just logic to me. So I'm supportive of the moratorium.
Anybody else? Commissioner Herzog?
So yesterday was Mother's Day, and I was pretty much spoiled all day with my family. And my girls set up a spa and tattoo parlor. So I got my feet massaged and my hands massaged, and then I have tattoo sleeves because they got out their tattoo markers. And so I think, yes, the perception of these places have changed. Kids are playing that. But yes, the principal does call me about tattoos, but nonetheless. I love getting a massage. I know that it's health. I have to go to Birmingham to get a massage. And I think that if we want to support small business, this is a way to do that. I can be right here in Royal Oak. And the perception of tattoos is art. It's completely changed. So I would love to support small business, and I'm supportive of this motion, especially because of what we've talked about tonight with the state regulations and licensing. I just don't see the issue that we may have seen in the 1990s. Though I want to point out, there is one thing I would like to bring back from the 1990s, and that is Blockbuster. So if anyone wants to support that.
Commissioner Cheatham, then Commissioner Hunt.
Well, I want to start by breaking the news to Commissioner Herzog that Blockbuster isn't going to come back, but so I'm going to be in support of this motion. I want to break down barriers that prevent businesses from coming and thriving in our community. I do think regulation of business is important when it comes to public safety and public health and environmental protections. I will always be in support of regulations there, but this doesn't seem to have any benefit and is only preventing a business from opening and providing a barrier. So I'm in support of the motion.
Commissioner Hunt?
Similar to Commissioner Herzog, I often have to spend my dollars outside of Royal Oak to get massages. I'm either going to Birmingham or over to Troy, and I would like to be able to patron establishments here in Royal Oak. Not only is it, a recreational type event, it's health related. There's a lot of medical benefits to getting regular massages. And I would like that, to have that opportunity here in the city. I quite often say what regulations and ordinances and laws that were implemented in the past need to be revisited regularly. Things that were true, 20, 30, 40 years ago aren't necessarily true now. And the fact that, there aren't necessarily those issues that, happened back in the 90s that are occurring now, basically because of the regulations that are implemented with regards to massages and tattoo parlors and, permanent cosmetics. There's tattoo or eyebrow tattoos and, after breast cancer surgeries, things that are beneficial for those patients. So I am fully supportive of this motion.
Yeah, I'd also say, Commissioner Hunt, along that line, what I learned over the years is that like microneedling and all of that, we've had folks trying to open up a small business and they have to come up here and spend hundreds of dollars to go and get, hire an attorney and all of that just to do a service that people are looking to have. Things have certainly changed a lot since 1993, without question. I'm glad we have folks that are coming up with ideas and suggestions and working with our planning department to make the burden of doing good business in Royal Oak less burdensome. When I first joined this commission, dancing was on a moratorium. If you think I'm kidding, I'm not. If you think I didn't get a flashlight shined on me at Fifth Avenue for standing up and maybe shaking a leg every now and then, and on a serious note, it was dancing in downtown Royal Oak. It was limited, and we didn't want any more of that dancing going on. We all watched Footloose. We were living it. So sometimes we have these knee-jerk reactions and we make ordinances and laws. Sometimes we do it as a knee-jerk reaction. And we have to look at everything through a lens of, is it hypothetical? Is it an incident? Or is it a problem? I'm not aware of any problems with massage establishments or tattoo parlors. In fact, I've been a little surprised to hear apparently what might go on at massage parlors. I don't know. I guess back in the day, the only massages I had were to deal with a quad tear or, something to, get you back in the game. So I really, when I look at this, we're going in just like the last text amendment we voted on. We have an opportunity here going into our discussions with how we look at our zoning ordinance. What is the practical applicability of everything that we want to regulate? What does it hurt? What does it help? And I think in this particular case, this is another good opportunity to get moving on something and kind of understand better how it can attract high-quality businesses and business owners, provide an essential service that people demand and desire in this community, and help inform how we do that in the best possible way when we're kind of pulling apart our zoning ordinance and putting it back together in a way that makes sense for everybody. From a practical point of view, we have a lot of hair salons in Royal Oak. It seems very complimentary to have places of massage in Royal Oak. It just seems like it's kind of fits our vibe. Again, I feel like I'm missing out. I hear all these people that go on regular massages. Apparently, this is an area I'm not well informed on. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is, all the negative consequences that we heard at public comment. I hear them, understand them, but, prostitution, human trafficking, fighting, whatever comes with, all of these perceptions of these businesses from the 1950s to the 1980s to the 1990s, those things are all against the law. So if there's anything that happens at any business, a restaurant, massage parlor, tattoo place, if there is a unlawful act happening, we're going to be on it and we're going to make the arrests and we're going to prosecute those people and we're going to shut those businesses down. End of story. So why are we prohibiting people from delivering a service that is needed, that's requested, and making it harder for business owners to do what they do because we fear someone may break the law? If that's our logic, let's shut down our roads, not allow anyone to drive because someone may speed. So I think this is a good step. I prefer an interim step. I prefer a step that gives us some time to learn some lessons here. And then when we get to the meat of our zoning text amendments with the new zoning ordinance, we'll be much better informed and make much better decisions. So, yes, Commissioner Teasum.
I think we've been focusing on this in supporting businesses, and we want to do that, but I think it's also not just supporting the businesses that are the massage therapists or the tattoo parlor, but people come downtown and they get a massage or they get a tattoo. They may also go to get a meal or get a cup of coffee or get a drink at a bar or go buy a book at a bookstore. So I think that it's also, the more businesses we have, the more diversity of businesses we have, particularly in our downtown area, but across our city, benefits all the businesses, and gets rid of empty storefronts and things like that. So these are all, it's a cascade effect of benefits from opening up opportunities for these businesses.
Excellent point. Anybody else? All right, nobody wants to, Commissioner Cole, you don't want to massage any of the language in this ordinance at all? No?
I feel like it's been inked out.
All right.
You need to be escorted out.
All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. All right, good. And those text amendments will come back to us in 2 weeks, or the next meeting, or is this good?
This is a moratorium. It's
Moratorium,
done.
yeah, the moratorium,
You're done.
it's not an amendment to the ordinance, it's a
Correct.
moratorium.
The other
so
one will.
The other one will come back to us. Okay, perfect. All right, this brings us to item 10, which is consideration of approval of appointment and employment agreement for city manager. Mr. Grachowski.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor and Commission. Tonight, the City Commission is being asked to consider the appointment of Thomas M. Marcus as the next city manager for the City of Royal Oak and to consider approval of the proposed employment agreement associated with that appointment. As outlined in the agenda materials, this recommendation follows an extensive recruitment and evaluation process conducted with the assistance of Vitrano Consulting, which included broad recruitment efforts, targeted outreach, significant consultant review and vetting, and evaluation of more than 70 applicants. Through that process, Mr. Marcus emerged as an extraordinary opportunity for the city. Mr. Marcus brings more than 4 decades of executive municipal leadership experience serving complex, full-service communities throughout the Midwest, including Michigan. His career reflects extensive experience in municipal operations, financial stewardship, infrastructure and redevelopment initiatives, strategic planning, organizational leadership, and succession planning. Tonight's agenda item reflects a significant leadership opportunity for the City of Royal Oak. The recommendation before the Commission is based upon the belief that Mr. Marcus's experience, professional reputation, and demonstrated leadership background uniquely position him to help guide the city forward during this exciting and positive period involving substantial organizational, operational, infrastructure, and long-term strategic initiatives currently underway throughout the community. Equally important, the Commission's consideration of this appointment reflects the value of experienced executive leadership serving as a bridge to the city's next generation of organizational leadership through mentorship, institutional knowledge transfer, leadership development, and succession planning designed to help position the city for continued long-term stability and success. There's a resolution for your consideration if you agree with the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Grachowski. Questions for Mr. Grachowski? Commissioner Hunt?
Yes. Mr. Rachowski, I have one question. Paragraph 11 discusses outside activities, and it indicates that subject to prior approval of the City Commission, he may accept other outside teaching opportunities and, you know what, I'm sorry, I just answered my own question. I apologize.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Chisholm.
Just a quick clarifying question. Does this agreement require that we hire from within the organization at our next hiring point?
No, it requires, well, it doesn't require, it enables Mr. Marcus to identify from multiple areas, whether outside, inside, or otherwise, potential next bridge to next potential leadership. And depending on where that person currently lies within their professional development, potentially mentor that person or persons into a potential future leadership role, or be a bridge to maybe a potential somebody that has a large amount of experience that wouldn't necessarily need a mentorship.
And so there's no requirement, or we would have nothing, the commission would have no barriers to having a open search or having a direct hire in the future from an outside external person.
The decision still ultimately remains with the commission if future steps forward with any future leadership decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I'll just add, Mr. Grachowski, your intro was perfect. I don't see any flaws in it. I think it really expresses the situation in front of us. I think it expresses how we have come to this point where we are today, and I think it also highlights the significance of having somebody with decades of experience in municipal leadership across many different municipalities that are dealing with many different types of situations. So to have that experience come to us in the form of Mr. Marcus, I think is a big win for the city of Royal Oak, and just very grateful for the way you kicked this off so people understand where we're at today. Commissioner Colo. Oh, you're just counting to 3? Oh, someone has to. Commissioner Hunt.
I move approval of the contract for the new city manager.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hunt, second by Commissioner Herzog. Discussion. Commissioner Hunt.
I'll just say I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Marcus, and I'm excited about him coming aboard. I feel he has a wealth of experience, someone that's going to be able to help, keep things moving in the direction that we're hoping to move here in the city of Royal Oak, and I look forward to working with the new city manager.
Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Echoing Commissioner Hunt's statements, I also had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Marcus. I think that this is a great opportunity for us to continue moving forward, finding new leadership with stability here. This isn't an interim position. This is a multiple years that Mr. Marcus is going to be here, helping us continue to evolve and continue to move forward. Royal Oak's a dynamic town with a lot going on at any given time. I think our staff has done a wonderful job over the last several years, and in particular the last several months, with an interim position of Grachowski and Chief Moore. I'm sure you're both excited, and our great city attorney here. It's getting late. And Susan in the back. Everyone's done a great job. So I think everyone's excited to go back to their regular roles, though, right? I think it's time that we get fully staffed again and can really continue to focus on what's important for the city.
Oh, Commissioner Herzog.
I just want to echo what my colleagues have said. We're thrilled to have Mr. Marcus join our team and help us figure out some things structurally and help us through the great things we want to do in the city. But we've also have really great staff who stepped up and really took on a lot over the past few months. And I just want to say thank you so much for putting a lot into this team, and your dedication has meant a lot to all of us and to the city and moving us forward.
Mr. Bastian.
I would like to echo the sentiments that many have indicated. Chief Moore, Mr. Grachowski, Mr. Barkham, Susan Barkman have all really stepped up and done a fantastic job in this interim. Speaking from my relatively new perspective on this dais, it will be fantastic to have Mr. Marcus in place and have a consistent presence. Someone with decades of experience is very, very welcome by me. I appreciate the guidance that he will offer to the city in general, but also us new folks in particular. So I'm very excited and looking forward.
Anybody else? All right, I'll just add, thank you. Mr. Grachowski, Mr. Markham, Susan, Chief, you guys really stepped up to the plate, and your entire teams stepped up to the plate and didn't miss a beat. Mr. Marcus, if this vote goes the way we think it's going to go, you're inheriting an absolutely outstanding team. Their commitment is unwavering. Their acumen and experience is top-notch, and they are truly one of the best teams that we've assembled in the city of Royal Oak. And I think that's going to make your transition much easier and much better, and I think very exciting. Really, you guys stepped up. You burnt the midnight oil. There were no conditions on time, effort. You just made it happen, made it work, and the entire city of Royal Oak, not just the folks up here, are grateful for everything that you guys did in the absence of a city manager. But now it's time to move into a different direction, and I know we have the right person lined up. Very excited to begin working with Mr. Marcus. I think that he has not only the qualifications, but the experience and the knowledge to hit the ground running. We had a chance to speak and talk, and he's very up to speed on a lot of Royal Oak issues, which is very refreshing, and we're very excited to see how he'll lead this organization moving forward. So, yeah, I got to be careful because there's a motion on the table and I don't know the final outcome just yet, even though I have presumptions. But, good. Then I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? You got it right, Mr. Commissioner Gantina?
After a whole meeting, we figured it out.
All right. The motion passes unanimously. Welcome, Mr. Marcus. And I will invite Mr. Marcus to come up and give a more formal introduction. I mean, almost everybody in the community has seen your resume and heard about you, but it's good to have your first official introduction here.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled, excited, but probably not happier than the city attorney, Mr. Gachowski. You know, I've been gone from the business now about 2.5 years. I left Birmingham. And to your question, Ms. Cheatham, to me, working towards having someone trained and ready to move into the city manager's position is one of the most important parts of the role of a city manager. But I would never presume that that would bind the city commission as to who would be your next manager. We built that into the agreement. Nick and I had that discussion on and off, and I think we came up with pretty good language to that effect. When I came back to Birmingham, it was with that intention, and we did find a person that stepped up and became our assistant city manager, but she was required to go through a public process. And so she went through that public process and she was successfully selected as our next city manager in Birmingham. But what I would tell you is the city manager in Birmingham now is a resident of Royal Oak. The assistant city manager in Birmingham is a resident of Royal Oak. And our city planner is a resident of Royal Oak. And I wanted to introduce you to one of the residents that you may not know, and that's Melissa Fairburn. She's the assistant city manager in Birmingham. And so she came, I think, in support as a resident for this selection. I'm really happy to accept this position. We inked a lease today, so we will be residents here in the city of Royal Oak. And we're within walking distance, so I've achieved a couple of goals. I found another city to serve, and it's walkable. I can walk over here to City Hall. It's the Lofts Project on Main Street. So it's nice and close, and I don't have to get into a car every day I come to work. So thank you for this support. I will endeavor to make you very proud and feel like you made the best decision you could for your city manager. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus. Let's give a round of applause and welcome Mr. Marcus
to
the city of Royal Oak. All right. Well, we have one more agenda item that we added to the end.
Can I add something really quick?
Yes.
So we will be having a coffee reception tomorrow morning from 8 to 9 for anybody who wishes to come and meet Mr. Marcus personally, whether it's staff, which will be sending out an email later today, or anybody from the public that's listening. They're free to come and engage it from 8 to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning here at City Hall.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Gachowski. And if anyone wishes to engage Mr. Gachowski now that he's not wearing 3 hats, now's the time to do it. Because before, you know, he was working very hard. Okay, so we have another agenda item tonight that was added at the approval of the agenda. which is recommendation on outside counsel for AFF product liability. Commissioner Chisholm?
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Chisholm. We have a second by Commissioner Bastian. Discussion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right, that brings us to the last order of business tonight, which is the adjournment. Commissioner Herzog.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion by Commissioner Herzog to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Gantina. Discussion on this motion. All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Adjourned.